Okay, good afternoon. Today's episode might be triggering for you if you've been through sexual abuse or something related to that. So, for warning on that, we are going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, and how it is to process that with NLD or as a neurodivergent. Today's episode is a heavy one. We're tackling the relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, but more on that, we're talking about how we, as people with NLD, nonverbal learning disorder, process stories involving power, secrecy, and abuse. Before we dive in, I want to be transparent. We will be mentioning the reality of sexual abuse. This is a topic that hits very close to home for me. If you've listened to episode 20, What Ever Changing Butterfly Means to Me, you know my personal history with sexual abuse. If you need to skip this episode for your mental health, please do. Your safety comes first. In the NLD world, we often lean on the literal facts because the vibe of a situation can be confusing. Let's look at the documented connection between Trump and Epstein. The timeline. According to the PBS NewsHour, the two were social fixtures in Palm Beach starting in the late 1980s. The documents, court released flight logs, show Trump on Epstein's plane multiple times in the 1990s. The break. The Wall Street Journal notes they had a falling out in 2004 over a real estate deal. The 2026 context. With the most recent document releases this year, the noise around the story is at an all-time high. The big picture gap. So why is this story so hard for an NLD brain to digest? The big picture gap. NLD makes it hard to see the gestalt or the whole picture. We see a flight log, a photo, a quote. Connecting those dots into a pattern of behavior takes much more cognitive energy for us than it does for neurotypicals. We miss social red flags. In my own life, as I shared in the ever-changing butterfly episode, having NLD might meant I didn't always see the invisible red flags that others might have caught. When we read about Epstein grooming cat tactics, it's terrifying because those tactics specifically exploit the social blind spots that come with NLD. The emotional overload. When you are a survivor like I am, your brain already has a static of trauma. When you add the NLD challenge of executive dysfunction, trying to organize a complex political scandal feels like trying to solve a puzzle in a thunderstorm. In episode 20, I talked about the butterfly, the idea of transformation after trauma. When I look at these headlines about Trump and Epstein, I see more than just politics. I see the invisible ways that powerful people can hide in plain sight. Um, sorry, it was lost my place. Um, For those of us who have experienced abuse, these news cycles can be triggering. In a very specific way, we might get stuck on a detail, a specific date or time or name, and our NLD brain loops on it. This is called hyperfixation, and it's a common way we try to gain control over a story that feels uncontrollable. Um, Strategies for processing. If you feeling overwhelmed by the news, here's my NLD Survivor toolkit. Limit the sensory input. Don't watch the news with the sound on and captions scrolling. Choose one or the other. Focus on reputable text. I find reading a calm article from The Guardian or BBC is easier for my NLD brain than watching a loud, fast-paced TV news segment. Validate your perception. If a story feels wrong, but you can't explain why, trust that. You don't need to be able to map out every nonverbal cue to know that abuse is wrong and that power dynamics matter. Conclusion. We are ever-changing butterflies. We are learning to navigate a world that wasn't built for our brains and a news cycle that often forgets our humanity. If you haven't listened to episode 20, I encourage you to go back and listen to it and understand the heart behind why I care about these topics so much. Thank you for being here with me today in the Tangled Knot of Politics. We'll be back next week with something lighter. Until then, take care of your brain and take care of your heart.